The honeymoon is over. This has been a big week in the fight against oligarchic autocracy and tyranny in America. Huge, devastating losses for Elon Musk and the MAGA Republicans in the Wisconsin Supreme Court elections. Very, very close races, or much closer than expected, in two special elections for Congress that were huge Trump districts that he won by 30 plus points, where the Republicans trying to take those seats just a little bit more than eke those out. People are rejecting this corrupt attack on American democracy, on our freedoms, on our communities, and it's starting to show. And it's no surprise, right? I think early in the administration, the appeal of efficiency and getting rid of fraud and waste, that resonated with people's frustrations with a broken system that I think we can all acknowledge. But as that has played out, as we have seen what it means to get rid of fraud and waste and abuse, it has been much more stark and disturbing in terms of the real world impact and harms that has brought upon the American people. And these indications, the election results, Cory Booker, finally, Democrats starting to respond, elected Democrats in the Congress with a historic 24 plus hour filibuster. The people are making very clear, very visibly, that this is not the direction they want their country to proceed along. And to dig into the mobilization that we are seeing across this country, I couldn't be more thrilled to be joined again by my friend, the great leader of MoveOn, who is behind the hands-off protest that Midas Touch and the legal AF community has been so thrilled to get behind. Thank you, Rahna, for joining us again. And thank you for the work behind this amazing set of rallies and mobilizations going on across the country.
Oh, happy to be here.
How are you processing this moment? What's the energy like heading into these protests?
Oh, I mean, I feel finally some wind in our sails, I'll say. It's been rough since Trump took office again. He's launched Doge. He's given Elon Musk the keys to the federal government. They're taking a chainsaw to the Social Security Administration, to Medicaid, to cancer research, to Meals on Wheels, to education. I mean, the list goes on, all in their effort of government efficiency. But it's not really providing efficiency. What it is providing to the people of this country is making their lives harder and things more expensive. All at the expense of lining their own pockets and giving tax breaks to the rich, you name it. So folks are pissed, and we're seeing that energy, and it's real. It's authentic. It's not manufactured like they try to claim. Like, folks are showing up at their local members of Congress office, at their town halls. They're organizing their protests on their own. If their member of Congress won't have a town hall, folks are organizing protests and marches in their local community when they see the disappearing of folks without due process, just because, and deporting of people just because they said something the administration doesn't like. Like, this is not my most generous interpretation. This is not what Trump voters actually voted for. This is not what most people voted for. They voted for make the lives of the working class better, help give us the ability to thrive, the ability to compete in this country. So this is exactly the opposite. And we're seeing people take matters in their own hands, to organize, to bring their communities together. I just heard a report, there's like 2,000 folks in Lexington, Kentucky, self-organized down there. My hometown in Northern California, I heard there is a local community meeting, 500 folks. This has nothing to do, I'd like to say MoveOn did all of it. No, but these are just regular. I mean, MoveOn members are regular people. Everybody's regular people, but these are people in their community saying, this is not okay. I am frightened. I am scared. What does this mean for my family, for my neighbors, for my town? And they're standing up. And that is very inspiring. And I'll say, after yesterday, seeing Senator Booker, fight for us on the Senate floor for 25 hours, breaking Strom Thurmond's record, and then seeing the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, the voters turned out. They delivered democracy for people here in Wisconsin and throughout the country. That is a huge marker of hope that I'm taking with me into Saturday. And Saturday's going to be a big day where everyone's going to come out in one day together to stand up for our democracy, for our rights and our freedoms, for these critical services that we've earned and that we've all like created this contract around in America about how we take care of each other. And they're just taking a chainsaw to all of it.
And, it's, a lot of what you said, it makes me think about the differences and the similarities with the first kind of Trump wave of extremism that we saw at the very beginning of 2017. And of course, that administration was marked, ignominiously by the, announcement of this anti-Muslim travel ban that brought people immediately out into the streets in nonviolent civil resistance. This time around, we've seen this completely far-reaching, distributed shock and awe campaign that has put everybody on their heels. Democrats didn't know how to respond. Big institutional interests and stakeholders didn't know how to deal with these authoritarians. I think still are wrestling with a lot of that. And then in terms of the kind of mass mobilization, we saw some of it with the initial federal funding freezes and impoundments. I know you guys were instrumental in organizing those protests around the federal agencies. But I think what we're seeing here is, as you described, this decentralized, organic, localized effort to come together as communities against this around whichever issue impacts our lives and impacts our families' lives. And at this point, to your point about this isn't what Trump voters voted for, there are very few Americans who are not directly affected by the sweeping assault on our rights and freedoms that we've seen under this administration. And I have to have some hope that despite the sort of slower burn of the mobilization of this resistance, it feels on some level more durable, more far-reaching, broader in terms of its public support.
I
Is
think
that
that's
right to you?
Time will tell, but that's what my senses tell me. I mean, this I would say, when Trump was elected the first time, people were shocked and horrified at the Muslim ban and then his attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, for millions of Americans. And I think this time around, it's less shock and more horror. And well, first, I think people were depressed and like, wow, he actually won the Electoral College again. The people of this country elected this man. And then I think people needed a minute. And then when they saw the horror of how deep, how far they're willing to go, that they have no bottom, that they have no sense of like mercy, I think that's then kind of initiated people to say, I cannot sit still and just watch this happen to my country and my community. And I think it's potent, and I think it's deep, and it cuts to the core of who we are as people. And there are millions of people in this country that don't identify with what this administration is trying to do and aren't going to just allow it to happen, because it directly impacts the lives of people that we live with. It impacts our lives. It's not some theoretical thing anymore that we're talking about. So,
yeah, and ultimately, it is up to us, right? I think that's another big difference between, I think, how many perceived what was happening in the first Trump administration and the guardrails that we had in place as kind of one of the world's greatest democratic experiences, perhaps the greatest. And, I think despite the serious problems with the Supreme Court, even under the first Trump administration, we did see on some level guardrails hold. And, in this administration, we've seen really amazing, brave, courageous litigators and plaintiffs take Trump to court and have great success in the lower courts. We'll see how that all plays out at the Supreme Court. But the other institutional guardrails, right? The presence of people within the administration, even in the first Trump administration, who had some attachment to the rule of law and refused to just lie down and do whatever Trump ordered them to do, however unconstitutional, however illegal. Mm-hmm. A Congress that was willing to at least play some checking function in terms of oversight and nominations. That, in contrast, now has just completely ceded its constitutional obligation to represent the people against him.
Right.
And, really, like the Republicans in Congress now have handed away their power of the purse to this autocratic maniac. At the end of the day, what's the guardrail? It's the people.
Yes.
And so, that I think it needs to sustain, right? And so,
look, it's going to take all of us. And what I observe is people, whether it's, my mom or uncle in their hometown, or whether it's Senator Booker, an elected official, or whether it's the senior partner at a law firm, like people are right now deciding, how am I going to show up in this moment in history? And you're seeing those decisions being made in real time, and those decisions need to be made by the millions of us that live in this country. Am I going to check out, ignore it, go protect my own? Or am I going to actually take the agency I have and use all the power I have within me to stop this and to protect my family and my community and my country? And hundreds of thousands of people have said the latter. And they're showing up on Saturday, April 5th, hands-off actions all over the country, hands off my Social Security, hands off my Medicaid, hands off public education, hands off my constitutional First Amendment right to free speech, you name it. And we're all coming together. And there's over like, I can't even keep count. Last night I went to bed, there was over 1,000 actions all over the country. Every single state in the United States has an action. There's even folks organizing events in other countries in solidarity with the United States. We are not alone. We are stronger in numbers. That is our strength when we come out together and we protect one another in the name of the United States, in the name of our Constitution, in the name of our rights, in the name of justice, in the name of equality, in the name of economic fairness, and more.
So much. It's all in there. Amazing. So how can people get involved? How can they find a hands-off event near them? You go to that website.
Yeah, go to Hands-Off 2025, handsoff2025.com. You can look for a local event in your community. I'll be surprised if you can't find one by now. And if you can't, you can host your own. We're allowing folks to register their own events up until Thursday night. And we'll help support you. We'll give you the guidance. We'll give you the resources to be able to figure this out. It's not hard. Anybody can do it. You just have to really want to. And we'll be there to support you. So groups like MoveOn and so many others are supporting regular folks to organize these actions in their community. And because it takes all of us. It takes all of us as individuals, outside organizations that like MoveOn that provide people the information and tools to make their voices heard. Our role is to support people. It takes, teachers coming out, labor unions are coming out. We've got the ACLU. You've got Never Trumpers are joining us. We've got the lawyer community joining us. Everyone is showing up. Everyone who cares about the promise of American democracy, who cares about protecting their friends and family members, who cares about making sure Trump and Musk aren't using the phrase government efficiency in vain just to line their own pockets and give wealthy people tax breaks. That's what this is about. So we hope folks join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be joyful because that is part of who we are. And we're doing everything we can to make sure it's safe and family friendly and folks feel like they can come and exercise their First Amendment right and show up for their country. Amen.
Thank you, Rahna, for joining us here on Midas Touch Legal AF with Court Accountability. We are thrilled to be in partnership with you. We are thrilled to be Court Accountability sponsoring the Hands Off rallies this week and being a part of this incredible effort, which I think is going to be very much the start of something, not the end. And until next time, make sure to find your event this Saturday. Do not miss it. And we'll stay in touch. We'll keep you apprised. Rahna, would love to have you back to see where we go from here.
Happy to come back.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.